Okay, we're gonna go over improvised lashing in a litter. Just pay attention to the towels I put in. We often just do lip service to patient care when we deal with technical rescue, especially in the fire service, because we aren't really transporting for long distances. But we should be better at that. This is just bare bones as an excuse for me just to emphasize the point and drive it home. We want to pad all the void spaces. Of course, the patient needs to be wearing a helmet. We're going to pretend for a second that we don't have all this fancy pre-rigged Cadillac-style lashing system. And we're going to improvise our system as we go. So the principles of patient lashing in a litter, two things called internal and external lashing. So internal and external lashing. Internal lashing prevents our patient from sliding out the foot and the head. External lashing keeps the patient from popping out the sides and keeps the patient pressed into the litter. So internal lashing always comes first, followed by external lashing. Ideally, I can just take a piece of webbing, and ideally I should have had this already rigged underneath our patient before we loaded her, but more often than not, that's never the case. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the start of the chest piece here. This is gonna route up, and then just for since I don't have the hands, so Haley, go ahead and lean up for me a little bit, and so you can see I'm gonna fix one going down, and it's gonna cross low. And then the other one's just going to do the opposite thing. He was getting an ab workout. That's okay. Okay, go ahead and move back down. Okay, so I've crossed over. This is where I'm gonna fix. And I'm gonna fix with a sheet bend. I could use an overhand knot. Overhand knot tends to slip along the harness. So I'm gonna use a sheet bend. And just like with our anchors, this is the bite. So get your arm out of the way. And with my tail, I'm going to come up through the bite, over my thumb as a landmark, and then out that hole. And I'm going to take all this slack with me. So I'm just going to take all this out. And make sure I get this. There we go. Okay, so that's a sheet bend. So I'll do one here. This I'm going to tie low, but before I do, I'm going to do a sheet bend on the other side. So just another sheet bend. And I'm going to stand over you so I can actually see what I'm doing. So going up. Okay. With these tails, I'm going to tie this low to a stanchion here. And you can do anything you want. You can do a constrictor hitch, a clove hitch, whatever. Here, I'm just going to do just a round turn and 2 half hitches. I'm just going to dog it off with 2 half hitches. So I could dog it off there, but that wouldn't be a round turn. That would just be like basically a bite around the stanchion. So here's my round turn, and then dog it off with 2 half hitches. Nothing fancy, nothing special. This doesn't have to be super elaborate. It's just preventing motion from occurring. So that's one. Second half hitch to dog it off. And all this excess I don't need, I can stuff it in the litter. And it doesn't have to be pretty at all. Okay. So other side. Other stanchion, they should be opposing stanchions, so if you can. So that's a round turn, and then 2 half hitches. Get that in there. So that's 1 half hitch. And 2 half hitches. We've tied her down so she doesn't slide out the head. Now we need to figure out a way so that she doesn't slide out the foot, because this is not going to prevent that from happening. This is the bite. We'll just take the bite, and I want the 2 sides to be opposing. I want to wrap this around her legs and have the bite coming up through there like in a harness. So usually I would have help, right? I'll just get all this underneath. And I'm gonna go as high as I can. There. And the same thing here. As high as I can here. I want to keep that bite kind of somewhere around the belt line, below the navel. So now we're just making a harness similar to what we did here. This is a bite, but let's square this off and kind of treat this as like a sheet bend, right? Because we want this to be stationary. If we did an overhand knot, it would slide around this point. So don't want to do that. So yeah, another sheet bend. This time I'm going to try to just pull all this through and see if that helps me tie my knot a little bit better. So it comes up, wraps around the thumb. All this comes through. And I feed it back through. Okay, so that's one right there. Now let's do the other one. So bite, feed the tail through, all the way through. Find my tail. Whoops, whoops, it's all over the place. My tail is gonna wrap around my thumb and come out that side. Oops. It's tough when you start to lose it a little when your webbing is super long. Okay. So I'm gonna go high. And so here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use maybe this stanchion right here. Right there, I'm just gonna wrap around it. I'm gonna come back down, feed the tail through the harness, come back up, and let's hold it there. And with this side, what we're gonna do, I used this stanchion, so I'm gonna mirror it on this side. So this is gonna come through this stanchion. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna terminate this, but I'm gonna terminate it in a fashion that I can use as a trucker's hitch to kind of cinch things down. So I want basically a terminal knot, like right here. So I'm just gonna take this kind of out and just make like an overhand knot, like right here. I can use anything, but there we go. I'm gonna bring this up. There's my knot. Right there, it's wrapping around the stanchion. And so with the opposite side, you can see I did the sheet bend on the harness, going through the stanchion, going down, wrapping through the harness here, and now I'm pulling up. Can you see that? And now I'm going to feed the tail of that through my knot, and I'm going to make a trucker's hitch. If I can find it. There it is. Okay, I'm just going to cinch this up a little bit. All right. And just like before, I'm just going to dog this off with 2 half hitches. So 1 and 2. And it doesn't have to be pretty because I don't care. I'm not doing this for aesthetics. I'm doing this for just efficiency and speed. So let's get a shot of it looking straight down. So this is the seat harness right here. The 2 sheet bends up through the stanchion, down through the bridge, up to the other section that was through the other sheet bend to a trucker's hitch. And then similarly with the chest, it's 2 sheet bends. It's less elaborate. I just lock it off down here with a round turn and 2 half hitches. We aren't quite done yet because when we go vertical, we really want to make a foot harness. We can do that by kind of mirroring what we did with the seat harness. We want to limit the pain that's associated with harness going over the femorals. Also, we want to mitigate the effects of orthostatic hypotension, which is kind of bad if we're in the vertical, being suspended for like 5 to 7 minutes. That can set in. So just like with our seat harness, I want to take the bite of the middle. I'm just going to get my landmark by tying an overhand knot in the middle point of my webbing. And the gain on this, that's probably okay. That's about what you want. So I'm going to landmark this. This is going to go right there, and these tails are, the tails are what's going to wrap around the feet. Here, I don't really care so much about a sheet bend versus an overhand knot. It doesn't really matter to me at this point for this one. So you can do a sheet bend or an overhand, doesn't matter down here. Grab that. That through. Okay, I just want to make sure that my sizing is still good. So that's right there. I'm going to cinch this down. We're okay there. I'm going to leave that in place, do the other one. There's my tail. Right there. Sorry, I'm talking all over you. Go up. Okay, so we're at there. That looks okay. I'm gonna check up a little bit more. Good enough. Okay, so you can kind of see how that takes shape right there. And I want to make sure that these stirrups are in the middle of the feet. I just want to make sure that they don't slide down to the heels. Okay. So again, it doesn't matter which side to start on. I'm going to go high on a stanchion. And so what I see here, I see this stanchion right here. So I can go inside out, outside in. I'm going to go outside in. Doesn't really matter. And then just like with the seat harness, the improvised seat harness that I rigged just a second ago, I'm going up to the stanchion, down through the bridge, capturing that bridge, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here with the stirrup hitch with the other side. So that's the stanchion, that's the one I want. Okay, and I want my terminal knot after the stanchion to be like right there. So as this wraps around to here, that's where I'm going to tie my knot. So simple overhand right there. Let's see what that does for me. Okay. Through. And we do the trucker's hitch. And when I do this, I'm going to grab the feet, pull up, cinch up. I'm supporting the feet so that when they're vertical, the weight's distributed and there's support here. It makes everything a lot more comfortable. Like leaps and bounds, more comfortable. And just like before, we dog off 2 half hitches. So 1 and 2. And that completes the internal and external lashing, improvised style. When you don't have anything else but just pieces of webbing, you can do this.